What is going on, everybody? It is your observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri, and welcome to the Lineman Life Podcast. We are back. It is September, and we are still waiting for NFL season to start, still trying to figure out if college football is going to play. But it's another day, and we got some topics that we're going to get into here today. Really appreciate everybody for joining in. Now, if you are not able to watch this on YouTube where I'm live streaming it, then you can also check out the Lineman Life podcast on Spotify. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Anchor.fm. So let's start today off talking about the NFL Power Rankings. And for me, the NFL Power Rankings are some person's opinion on what the top 32 teams in the NFL, or what the order of the 32 teams of the NFL is to begin the season. And, really, you take it with a grain of salt. Nobody knows how the season is going to play out. But if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, then you know where you're going to start out. Looking at these power rankings, and I'm going to share this here with you guys. This is coming out of Bleacher Report. Let me get this up here for you. We are boom. All right, so we're taking a look here at the NFL Power Rankings, and obviously with the Chiefs winning Super Bowl last year, and with that cast of weapons that they have on that offense, it's going to be hard to top those guys. So, we would obviously know where to expect those guys to be in the top five. But they are at the top of the mountain, obviously, as they start the season. Now, 32. And for me, I have a single tear that's swelling up in this left eye. At 32, in the power rankings, my Jacksonville Jaguars. I bleed teal and black, you guys, but this one is hard to look at. And, look, nobody expected the Jaguars to be, sitting in the top 10, the top 15. Certainly they're going to be in the bottom half of the league, but to be 32nd, number 32, at the very bottom of the pack, just kind of tells you a lot about how this franchise has been managed as of late. For me, this franchise is going through a similar dismemberment as it did back when I played. Everybody knows, and it's probably the big news, one of the big stories out of the NFL this week, that the Jaguars cut running back Leonard Fournette. He cleared waivers yesterday, and now he's officially a free agent, so teams are going to get him at a much cheaper rate. But this just begs the question if the Jaguars are tanking their season. Are they tanking it? And, it's hard to argue against it. How are they going to what is the expectation for this year if it's not to get in the best position for the 2021 draft? They don't have any names other than Gardner Minshew that are really going to be household names. And it's hard for me to look at it and think that there's really anything for these fans in Duval County to be really hopeful for this season. 2020 is going to go down for the Jaguars with the same kind of bad taste and utter chaos that 2020 as a year is going to go down for most of the people in the world. This is a crappy year. We know it. And for Jags fans, it's only going to get worse because they've got a crappy team. Gardner Minshew is the only recognizable name, maybe DJ Chark as well. But let's be honest. If they're tanking for one reason. They're tanking to get Trevor Lawrence from the Clemson quarterback, who is, with all probability going to be, outside of having a terrible season this year, he's going to be the first pick in the draft. So what does that mean for Minshew? Minshew's now in a situation where, with all these people in the city wanting or really, backing his position now as the starting quarterback, that position is already before he even has competition to worry about. That position is already in doubt for him past this season, once he gets past this season. So really just a terrible position for him to be in, and the franchise in general is just not looking good. So we're going to move on. 31, you got the Carolina Panthers. I think that everybody who looks at the Panthers, they're also a big question about this season. Cam Newton's no longer there. Teddy Bridgewater got signed. He's the new quarterback. I expect him to actually have a decent year this year. I don't think that he's going to be, an all-world performer just because that offensive line they have isn't very good. And, they don't have as many weapons, and there's not going to be that much versatility from Teddy Bridgewater and how he plays. He's not going to be the guy that he was when he was drafted in Minnesota, being able to make plays with his feet as well as his arms. He can still run the ball, I'm sure, but not nearly as effective as he did before he actually got injured. So the Carolina Panthers are at 31. Cincinnati Bengals making a little bounce up there. They're at 32. They're looking right now high 28 and low 31. Obviously, they got Joe Burrow there at the quarterback position. A lot of people excited about what he's going to do. They just signed their running back. I think they just gave their running back, Joe Mixon, a $48 million contract extension. That's going to be big for him. That's going to be big for his stability. The team obviously is going to be, trying to build on this core group of players that they have. And looking at this Bleacher Report, just a couple of notes from it. The Bengals have a pair of talented wide receivers and veteran A.J. Green and youngster Tyler Boyd, and one of the NFL's better young running backs in Joe Mixon, and one of the league's better defensive lines. Question marks are plentiful, whether they're along the offensive line or at linebacker. And I think you're going to find that to be a constant theme with a lot of these teams in the bottom half of this power ranking. You're going to have a lot of them who have questions, uncertainties at the offensive line position, because that's where it starts. The O-line is where it starts. If you don't have a cohesive offensive line, an offensive line that has time together, an offensive line that has experience individually, then it's really, there's going to be growing pains, because you have to go through a little bit of a stank fest with offensive linemen, especially young ones who don't have experience. They're going to get beat. They're going to have issues. They're going to have issues in the pocket, keeping the pocket solid. But as time and experience grows, those young players will begin to pick it up. That's just how it works with offensive line. There's not really many ways around that. There are a few players in between that do come out and perform out of the gate, but not everybody's going to be a Zach Martin, So most of the offensive linemen that you're going to see are going to be offensive linemen who struggle when they get their first crack at live action in the NFL. So coming up next at 29, we got the Washington football team. Obviously, this team has had a lot of off the field controversy, a lot of flux there. Everybody knows they've changed their name to the Washington football team. I actually think it's a good name change. I think that's something they can actually build on, and it's something that they can really, create a new image for that franchise with this new team name. It's really simple. Obviously, it's really simple. They really have a straightforward look to them with the numbers on the side of the helmet. The colors have always been good. I've always thought that Washington's had some really good colors. And but overall, you're looking at their team here. They're looked at a high at 29 and a low at 30. And there's going to be questions. Obviously, quarterback Dwayne Haskins, he's going to be a central piece in whether or not this team is going to be able to hit that 500 mark, whether they're going to show some really decent improvement from the years of struggle that they've been dealing with. They've been in struggle nation for a long time there in Washington. So we'll check back on them periodically through the season. At 28, you got the New York Jets, another team that just doesn't really have too much to speak of in way of advancements in the offseason, and a little bit of underperforming from some of the players that have been on that are on that roster. It's just really a franchise that's a little bit discombobulated right now. They have injury issues, obviously, with their wide receivers. Le'Veon Bell underperformed last year, didn't really have a great season. Wasn't all on him, but underperformed based on what we saw from him when he was in Pittsburgh. So the Jets, yeah, that's what they are. Chicago Bears. I feel the Bears have had a lot of potential. I feel like they've had potential. I just feel like they don't know exactly what they want to be because of their quarterback position. But lucky for them, they've only added to that uncertainty by adding Nick Foles to their roster to push Mitchell Trubisky into being, a consistent quarterback in some degree. Right now, the guy just doesn't have the consistency levels. He had one really good game that was against Dallas last year. But, can anybody really point out more than one or two games that Mitchell Trubisky played in where you were like, he's the reason they won the game? I didn't think so. As I sip from my Mr. Pibb or Dr. Pibb Extra. But let's keep going here. The Bears are at 27. Obviously, you know what they got. They got a good defense. They got an offense that struggles and sputters and looks bad usually. And unless they can get those things sealed up, they're not going to be seeing too much difference in how their seasons play out. Los Angeles Chargers. Another team that, there's a lot of questions. They've got a lot of spots that don't really have proven players at the positions, and quarterback is where it starts at. Phillip Rivers no longer there. He's now in Indianapolis. So he's going to be a huge that position is going to be a huge question for the Chargers. And they just really, this franchise has been a franchise that's been mired in, disappointment because of these teams that they had year in and year out that would have great regular season records, go into the playoffs and choke almost immediately. So don't expect much in way of the Chargers when it comes to really, making a push out there with the teams in their division. Next, 25, we got the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, well, they're the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford, a heck of a quarterback, in my opinion, who just has hasn't been able to put everything together and have them line up perfectly for the Lions. They have either a terrible defense or they have, a terrible offensive line. It's one of the two. They struggle on both sides of the ball at different points during the season. And it really does put them in a bad position in way of trying to really become a team that can consistently get into the postseason. They had that year back in 2014, but since then it's been meh. At 24, we got the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, this is a team that I actually have decently high expectations for. They are a team that's in a division with the Patriots that is wide open this year. This is a wide open AFC East, I believe it is they're in. AFC East, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't always get those divisions right. But obviously, their big pick, the guy that they got, Tua Tagovailoa, this guy is going to be a superstar in the NFL, I think. This guy's got the talent. He's got the smarts. He's left-handed, which is a curveball for defenses. I'm left-handed, so I'm rooting for this guy. But he is he's a smart kid. He's got the talent. He's recovered from that injury. I think he's shown that. This is a team that has a good defense. He's going to have, and Tua's going to have a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick there to kind of mentor him into that position. And, the arrow is pointing directly up for the Miami Dolphins, in my opinion. I expect these guys to do far better than 24. And before long, they're going to be a team that I think a lot of people in the NFL are going to be on the lookout for. But these guys are building something, and it may not be this year, But in the next few years, these Miami Dolphins are going to be a force to be reckoned with. 23, the New York Giants. The Giants, in my opinion, a team that is trying to, cement its culture. I just think they really are lacking in a culture for that franchise. They don't know exactly what they want to be. They're not following necessarily in the footsteps of the style of team they were when they had when Eli Manning was at the quarterback position, when you had guys like Ahmad Bradshaw and dude, I forget, Michael Strahan, all these guys who were around when they got those Super Bowls. They just have not been able to replicate that style of play where you have a dominant defensive line and sound running game with that just traditional NFL West Coast offense that spreads teams out, mixes up the routes, gets guys moving around on defense. You just don't see it coming from New York. So I wouldn't have had them as high as 23, but that's where they are. And, obviously their quarterback, Daniel Jones, that cat is going to have to show that he can be a leader and move those guys forward. But, New York, another team that's going to be relatively in the background as the season progresses. 22, Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this is a team that has a lot of excitement around them, obviously, because they got that new stadium. They've moved to Las Vegas. They're going to have a new kind of fresh energy to the franchise getting into Las Vegas. And, this is a team that's going to surprise some people. The Raiders are a talented team. And even before John Gruden took over this team, the Raiders, I remember from my time playing, the Raiders were always a talented team. They had just athletes around there. They just had no vision, no leadership. And you could tell because these were guys, you had guys who were top picks, who had the skill sets, who really did, some of them went on to other teams and performed, exceptionally well. But the Raiders just, they haven't had the discipline. And I think John Gruden brings that discipline back to the franchise. Last year was his first year with the Raiders. Obviously, they had to deal with ABC. But the Raiders could be a team that will surprise you this year. Los Angeles Rams. Man, isn't this a story of a franchise just kind of letting go of the rope? These guys were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, or 2 years or 3 years ago? 3 years ago? 2 years ago. But, I think they kind of got exposed in the Super Bowl. They looked like a team that wasn't ready for that big moment. Their defense, obviously, they had a good defense at that time. We thought they had a great offense as well, but just not the kind of work coming out of that franchise since then that we would expect. Obviously, Aaron Donald, he is probably the best overall defender in the NFL. Would have loved to play against him when I was in the league. I think that would have been a great matchup. I would have dominated him. But the Rams are looking to get back into contention. We'll see how that plays out. Won't hold my breath. They're going to have some issues to deal with after this season anyways, as far as contracts go. They're going to have to get some people paid, or they're going to be losing a nice stock of their talent. At number 20, we got the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, a young team that I think really does have a good upside. They find Drew Lock at the quarterback position, and he's shown that he has some real skill. And the people in Denver obviously are going to be hopeful that he can build on that going into this season. A team that's got some new additions to it. Melvin Gordon at the running back position. They got Jerry Jeudy at the receiver. He's coming in as a rookie. But Von Miller. Von Miller is another name that you're going to expect to perform out there on the field. But how much longer does he have in his peak, or is he already out of his peak and starting to decline? We don't know. But we'll learn more about them. Obviously, being out in the West, in the West, near the West Coast of the country, it's harder for most of the nation to see the work they do. But they did actually, they finished the season 4-1 with Drew Lock. So we'll see how they play out coming into the season. Now, another team that really big question mark, New England Patriots, usually never question mark when we talk about the Patriots. We're expecting at least 10, 11, 12 wins. But this season, a little bit different. Obviously, there is the big position that has been left wide open at quarterback for the Patriots. And many people, I thought certainly that Cam Newton being in there at the quarterback position would be a lock as a starter, but they haven't named him as a starter. And he is going to be in competition for that job. And, I think it's gonna be a good test to see if he can hold off Jarrett Stidham and show that he really does have that accuracy that we expect to see him with, or we expected to see him with coming out of that Super Bowl appearance against the Broncos. But if you look at the stats of Cam Newton, actually, if you look at his stats, even with that Super Bowl season, Cam Newton was barely average as a passer with his quarterback rating. His quarterback rating was middle of the pack. I think what made him such a great player in Carolina was the versatility between throwing the ball and running the ball. Cam Newton can make magical plays when he runs the ball. When he's using his legs, he can be a real threat. Is New England going to actually take advantage of that skill set that he has? We don't know. That would be a huge shakeup to the philosophy of their offense that they have run, going on 20 years now. It's a short passing offense. They, at times they try to establish the run, but they are probably the purest West Coast offense you're going to find in the NFL. They're short routes. They're going to use every portion of the field, outside the hashes, inside the hashes, inside short routes, inside deep routes, inside, everything. They're going to keep defenses moving in order to get their passes off. And the quarterback has to be accurate. Now, we all know Cam Newton ain't no Tom Brady when it comes to accuracy. Not even close. But if he can be 60% of what Brady was with accuracy, then that will put them in position to be competitive and to push for the playoffs towards the end of the season. Number 18, Houston Texans. Now, I absolutely would not have the Houston Texans at 18. No. I would not put them at 18. Getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, that really limits their offensive firepower. Obviously we know what kind of player Deshaun Watson is. I mean, he's still got an arrow pointing up. In my opinion, his skills are going to get better, but he's going to need some talent. He's going to need some talent in the backfield. He's going to need some talent on defense. That defense has historically been one that struggles as the season goes on. They give up some in the run, and their secondary is, pretty much blah. They make plays, but they're not anything that any quarterback is going to be scared of. So, the Houston Texans, I wouldn't expect. In the AFC South, they will probably compete with Tennessee, but Tennessee has got a firm grip on the AFC South. Cleveland Browns at 17, possibly. I think they fit there about fine. Baker Mayfield, this is do or die for him, I think, this year. If he doesn't show that he can be a quarterback that can actually play with consistency and not just throw touchdowns in garbage time, then they might do something. Obviously, you've got too good a receiving core to really just not produce the way that he has. He hasn't produced well, and you got Odell Beckham Jr. in there, receiver, and you have what's the other cat's name again? Forget his name. Wide receiver. He's good too. Probably better than Odell Beckham, but they've got position players, they've got good defensive players, and they still suck. That doesn't make any sense to me. So with all of those things being equal, I just say it's the quarterback's fault, and that's what I'm going to say with Cleveland. 17's a solid spot to put him at, but I wouldn't put him any higher than that. 16, Tennessee Titans. I actually am surprised. I'm surprised they're at 16. I would think they'd be closer to 10. Those guys winning in New England, beat New England. Went into Houston, beat Houston. I mean, what more do you want? That's a squad that kept most of their squad together. Coming back into this season, they re-upped Derrick Henry, and Tannehill's already got stupid contract money from Miami. So these guys are basically reloading to try and get to that next step this year in the NFL. I expect that they'll be the division champ. I wouldn't put it past I wouldn't put it past the Colts and being able to compete. I wouldn't put it past the Texans either. Definitely won't be coming from Jacksonville, but Tennessee is holding a tight grip over the AFC South, and I expect that to continue. 15, Arizona Cardinals. I don't know that much about the Cardinals other than they got DeAndre Hopkins and they have a quarterback that is supposed to be, and Kyler Murray, who's supposed to be a hyped quarterback. But I don't know. I don't know that I really care about the Arizona Cardinals. But I think I think they'll compete. I think come back to me in a year or two, we might be talking about Arizona Cardinals competing for one of the top spots out of the AFC. So, we'll see how that plays out. Are they in the AFC? Good question. Anyways, let's keep moving. Atlanta. ATL. And this is I'm going to go into a little bit of a story here, but I think you guys are okay with that. You guys, got an alarm going off here. All right, let me cut the alarm off. Sorry about that. Boom. Don't even know what I set it for. Cardinals, NFC West. Thank you. That's how much I don't know about the Cardinals, and I played in the NFL. I only played them one time my entire career. So thank you in the comment section for letting me know that. Jarvis Landry as well as the other wide receiver in Cleveland. So a couple corrections there. Now, the Atlanta Falcons. And again, this is going to be a short story, but I feel like I need to tell you guys about this because I still kind of have a little bit of bitterness in me about this. The Atlanta Falcons were in the Super Bowl not too long ago. I want to say 3, maybe 4 years ago. 3? Maybe. I don't know. But this team, as anybody who watches football should know and does know, was winning the Super Bowl 28-3, I believe. This is a team that had the biggest and the ugliest Super Bowl meltdown in the history of the Super Bowl. At that time, I had a club here in Atlanta, and that club, I remember that night as we sat there and watched this game, I thought to myself, man, I'm going to make a ton of money tonight. We're going to make a literal ton of money because these Atlanta Falcons are about to win the Super Bowl. And if they win this Super Bowl, you can guarantee, mark it down, Atlanta is going to be on fire tonight. Literally. They're going to burn things, and it's going to be a party like we've never seen in this city before. That was at halftime. I said that. Went and met up with some friends to catch the second half. I ran around to do a couple of little quick business things before I went to go meet up with them. I got there middle of the fourth quarter. Middle of the fourth quarter, I walk in the bar where a couple of friends are, and people are talking, but it's it sounds like people are talking in a nervous kind of what is going on tone. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't ask what the score was because, I just greeted my friends. I didn't see any Patriot fans. I saw Patriot people, who were just kind of standing in the courtyard next to the bar. They were outside just kind of like chilling. I figured, they were still getting blown out. And, we all know what happened at the end of that game. Tom Brady brought them back. They beat Atlanta. And ever since, that franchise has been in shock, total shock. This is a team that has lost a franchise that doesn't have any confidence. They don't have confidence right now. When you lose the way that they did, and this is something I say to friends, I've said to people who ask me about it all the time. When you lose the way that the Falcons lost, it destroys that franchise for at least a decade. This team won't sniff the Super Bowl for 10 years. That's how bad, that's the kind of damage losing the way that they did has on that franchise. You've seen nothing but Atlanta actually trying to plug the leaks that the franchise has been having. This franchise is fighting to stay afloat. They're fighting to stay relevant. And this year is going to be a year where they either can turn that corner and actually believe in themselves again, or they're going to blow it up. Julio Jones is the only asset on that offense or that defense that is irreplaceable. He's the only asset that they have that is truly an elite level, once in a generation talent at his position. And yes, they went. They finished the season with a little better than it started, but this franchise is wavering, and if they can't get it figured out this year, I think you're going to see some big changes coming for them. Now, number 13, we got the Buffalo Bills. I actually like Buffalo. I like the Bills. I like what they're doing. I like that they have this kind of they embrace that underdog mentality, and that's something that I'm really inclined to favor, because I played at a franchise that was in many ways a similar franchise in Jacksonville. It's an underdog franchise. It's a show me franchise. You show us you can win before we're going to talk about you on TV. You show us that you can win before we're going to respect what you guys are doing on the field. And that's, as an opponent. So this team went out there and they did it ugly. It didn't look good, but it felt like this team fought and clawed for every game that they won. And, a lot of that is embodied in this young cat right here. This quarterback that they have, what's his name again? Damn it, I'm terrible with these cats' names. Josh Allen, that's right, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is, the kid impressed me in the playoffs. He impressed me in both games against New England. They have a good defense. They added Josh Norman. I think Josh Norman is a better pickup as a player than a lot of people realize, because Josh Norman in Washington, if you paid attention, and I say this because I'm a little biased. I know Josh Norman. We're cool, and he got paid a lot of money in Washington, knowing that he was going to a franchise that really wasn't about nothing. They weren't about nothing. They weren't competing for anything. And, it was what it was. He was out there collecting a check. Now, do I think that he has a chip on his shoulder and kind of back to that mentality he had when he was in Carolina with the Panthers? Might be. But I think him coming in there with that mentality on a 1-year deal, a prove it deal. I think that's going to be something that brings out the best in him as a player. I think that he actually still has some of his prime left if he can come out and, establish how he wants to play early in the season. I think that it'll be a good thing for him, and we'll see that we'll see that bite back in his play. That we all remember when it was him and OBJ going back and forth, fighting and doing all kinds of things when he was in Carolina. Number 12, Philly. Got them Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles, to me, they're a bit of a wild card out of the West. Out of the NFC East. And I'm going to default it to them. I'm going to default the NFC East to them just because, we don't expect a ton coming out of Washington. We don't expect. I wouldn't expect a ton coming out of Dallas either. Dallas, to me, I can't. Well, we'll get there when we get there. But Eagles are at 12. Obviously, Carson Wentz gonna have to come out and have a good season. These guys are already looking at being behind the 8 ball. Their left tackle Andre Dillard, season-ending biceps injury. Alshon Jeffrey hasn't practiced yet, still recovering from a foot injury. They're banged up. You're going to see them probably start slow and build as you get past that first quarter of the season. Number 11, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And a lot of people don't know this. I was a diehard Tampa Bay fan growing up. Tampa Bay and San Francisco. Those were my 2 teams growing up. Loved both those teams, and really was just all in when it came to those teams getting into the playoffs. I remember those 4 or 5 years when Tampa would go into the playoffs and lose every year. And it wasn't that they were losing, but because they weren't getting beat badly. It was just they couldn't get over that hump. They had their defense was best defense in the league year in and year out, top 5 defense. Their offense, actually a lot of weapons, but just didn't have that quarterback position sealed up. And now you're looking at a Tampa Bay team that's really in a lot of the same positions as they were back in the early 2000s with that Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, Buccaneer team. And the offense is kind of similar in the kind of weapons they have, but now they have a quarterback. Now the question is it the same quarterback that we assume him to be? I think we're going to find out a lot about the Tampa Bay Bucs and a lot about Tom Brady when we look at how that offensive line is going to protect him. Now you got to realize he's playing in the NFC South, and the NFC South has a lot of good edge rushers. So this is going to be, they're going to be looking at a big challenge for that O-line in Tampa, and we'll get to see for the first time in a long time how Tom Brady, how well he responds to constant pressure, how well he responds to being hit more, because he will get hit more. If anybody knows anything about Bruce Arians' Tampa Bay offense, it is complex, and it requires a quarterback to read coverages probably more than any other offensive system in the NFL, because your receivers, it's tough. Your receivers have to be on the same page at all times with the quarterback, because in a lot of their scheme and a lot of what they run, the Bucs receivers have option routes. They have a ton of option routes, which means they're going to change routes based on coverage, and you won't really know if they change routes. You won't be certain on what route they're going to run until you snap the ball and you look at what they have or what the defense is showing you in the secondary. So Tampa Bay is at number 11. I think it's fine to put him there. Tom Brady kind of puts him in that position, and that's whatever. That's fine. And that's where I don't expect them to necessarily be. I think they'll be playoff contenders, but I don't expect that team to overperform like some people do. At number 10, we got Green Bay. This is a team that, again, they've got weapons, but they've got questions. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, you know what he brings to the table. but they also drafted Jordan Love. So you can see the past, present, and the future right here for the Green Bay Packers in this draft that they just had. And they're going to need a defensive renaissance coming out of Green Bay. Their defense has just not been a top caliber style defense. And they put up a lot of points. This team can score. They've got weapons, but at the end of the day, defense is what you're going to lean on to seal your games. And not really sure that Green Bay is a team that necessarily deserves to be in the top 10, but I'll let them sit there in my mind for now. Indianapolis Colts at number 9. That is a bold number 9 with the Indianapolis Colts. I honestly feel like you could switch the Colts and the Bucks, and that would probably make more sense. But they have Phillip Rivers coming in. Now, Phillip Rivers, the good thing about having Phillip Rivers as your quarterback now with Indianapolis is that this guy has relatively been healthy his entire career. You know, he had the torn ACL back earlier in his career when it was the Chargers going into the playoffs, into the AFC title game, having to win that in the cold. This guy toughed it out. He's a tough competitor. You know, he's a good quarterback. You know, he does have a tendency at times to get a little interception happy, throwing that ball to other people. But the Colts, you know, this is about as close as they're going to get to having anything similar to Peyton Manning behind the center this season. But obviously, they've got an offensive line that's solid. They've got one of the best in the NFL with Quentin Nelson at guard. And this defense obviously is one that's, you know, may not be a lot of big names on it, but these guys do play together. They play fast. That's been historically a Colts thing. They've got a little bit of an undersized defense, but they play extremely fast, and that really could help them, you know, push for the AFC South crown against Tennessee. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out. Now, this one, interesting. Number 8, Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings. Oh, they had a couple of players who they lost in the offseason, but this team is trying to make a push to get back in contention for a Super Bowl. They want to get. They're probably the closest that they've been in a decade at being a contender for the Super Bowl, and they took a big step in helping that cause when they gave away a couple of picks to the Jaguars. Jaguars just helping everybody else win the Super Bowl except for them. Yannick Ngakoue is in Minnesota. He took $4 million less money than he wanted and that he was getting just to get out of Jacksonville. So what does that tell you about that franchise? But Yannick Ngakoue is going to boost that defense significantly, I think. You know, he doesn't play the run great, you know, because he doesn't really want to play the run. He's there to get to the quarterback. And he's competent in the run game, but he's not anyone that I would run at him on 4th and 1 immediately. I would run straight to him if I was on offense. But 3rd and 10, I'm gonna keep a tight end in to chip before they go out on a route, because he can be a destructive player coming off the edge. Now, Kirk Cousins, obviously, this guy proved a lot of things to a lot of people last year, and the way he played in the playoffs, the way he put away the New Orleans Saints. Sorry, Saints fans, but you know, he put that dagger in there nice and deep, and this he's got skills and he's got confidence to back it up, and that's a hard thing to beat. You like that? But this guy also said some pretty interesting things about catching the beer virus. This guy said, "If I die, I die. YOLO. YOLO." That's okay. That's fine. But the Vikings overall, They lost Diggs. And obviously that's a big loss, but I don't think I don't think Diggs is I don't think that they're going to really suffer that much from losing Diggs, just because they have a good running game. They have an okay offensive line. Not great. Okay. They're okay. They're not great. I actually did a breakdown on their offensive line. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. I did a breakdown in the Trench Warfare series. You can find it on that Trench Warfare playlist. But I did a breakdown of the 49ers in their game against Minnesota. And I broke down both the 49ers and offensive line, which is actually they're a pretty good offensive line. Their technique overall is their technique on that line is average, but that O line is a group. They're near dominant. Minnesota's offensive line, terrible technique, almost across the board. Their guards are susceptible to whiffing on blocks almost routinely. For a pocket passer that Kirk Cousins is, for the pocket passer he is, I really don't know how he hasn't been hurt a little bit more with that franchise. But Minnesota is actually in a really good position, a better position than some people think they are in the NFL in their push to compete for the Super Bowl. Now, this is a head scratcher for me. Yeah, I know they got Big Ben back. Yeah, I know the Steelers are the Steelers. We know that they're going to have a good season. We know they're going to play well, but number seven? Number seven? No, they don't have number seven in there. And I don't see them at number seven. I'd put them in the top 15 just because they didn't have a great year last year. And you can put a lot of that on the quarterback position, but they really didn't perform as well as they should have. Now, and I'm looking at the chat, just so you guys know, I am looking at the chat. Once we get to number 5, once we get to the 5th, the last 5 teams, then we will definitely take a look at the chat, say some things to some people. But right now, we're looking at these Pittsburgh Steelers. And at number 7, hard for me to get on board with that. But I'm not going to, when you have Big Ben back there, he's lost some weight. He ain't fat boy no more. He ain't fat boy Ben. He's now dad body Ben. And, you can actually see his jawline instead of his jaw connecting directly into his neck fat, which is good. I actually think that's a good thing. But these guys have a good offensive line. They've had a good offensive line. They got a good defensive line. They've had a good defensive line. They're solid all the way around, but I just don't see number 7. All right, number 6, Seattle. I believe in it. I believe in number 6. I'll give them that. Russell Wilson still showing that he is one of the best leaders, if not the best leader in the NFL. The guy makes plays with his feet. He makes plays with his arms, and he makes plays with his mind. And that entire team, that entire franchise believes in him 100%. Every player who's there believes in him. Every coach who's there believes in him. Every executive in the front office believes in him. And this guy is the reason that he is the one consistent that has always been exactly what he shows on the field for Seattle. Russell Wilson is a true leader, and this team has players at a lot of positions. They've got a defense that's building back to what it once was, not necessarily there yet, but they do have a defense that is showing some of that same explosiveness that we saw out of them back when they were the Legion of Boom. And this could be a year where they're really, they had a ton of injuries last year, And they went into that game against Philadelphia. Really, this guy was doing it by himself. But I think that they're going to have, with DK Metcalf and all of the players that they have on that offense and defense, I think that's going to be a team that's going to be competing for a championship. Now, we're at number 5, and I'm going to talk to the chat a little bit here just because I want to get you guys a little bit of love here. I've seen some of you guys in here. The Greg, this guy, the Greg, this dude loves talking about my record with the Patriots. And let's take a look at here some of the things he said. Ooh, what's this? Brady Belichick, 9 Super Bowls. Uche, 0. Yeah, that is actually factual. Never been to a Super Bowl, but hey, I'm not going to complain about being in the NFL. That's for sure. Rob Ninkovich, Purdue's pride and joy. Oh, you guys, come on. What is this? The Patriots stream? This ain't no Patriots podcast. Oh, what's going on here? Yes, Mark Brennan, he is a member of the O-line. And he asked, did I see what Kirk Cousins said? Yes. Kirk Cousins says he don't care about no beer virus. He don't care about no COVID. Give it to him. If he dies, he dies. You like that? But yeah, this is it's power rankings, guys. It's only one person's opinion of what the order of teams are. These guys, I mean, how many times is this going to change before the end of the season comes? But no, I appreciate everybody who's in here in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you share this stream with your friends. Let them know that we're in here chopping it up. It's just me today. No guests this week on the Lineman Life podcast. So it is your sole offensive lineman here, the observer lineman, Uche Nwaneri. We're going through this. Power ranking. And once we get through these final 5 teams, and we're going to go into some quick talks about a few other topics. And I think that you guys are going to enjoy those as well because, we got Madden to talk about here in a second. We got the whole thing with Luka Doncic and what is that? What is that asshole's name from the Clippers? Marcus something Senior. We're going to talk about him. And we're going to talk about, overall, where things are headed with football, where things are headed in sports. We're going to try and be versatile with it here today. So let's get through these last 5 guys, and then we're going to roll into the next topic. So number 5, we got the Cowboys at 5. And this is, to me, the same trap that every football commentator falls into every single season. The Dallas Cowboys are an overrated franchise, period. In my opinion, this is a team that has done nothing but underperform for 20 years. For 20 years plus, this franchise has done nothing but underperform. They have not been to an NFC title game since 1995. This is a franchise that has missed the playoffs almost routinely with the most talented roster, bar none, in the NFL year in and year out. So why do we care about them enough to put them at the 5th spot in the power rankings? That's just because they have the most talented man-for-man squad in the NFL yet again, except there's a little bit something different this year. They got Mike McCarthy at the head coach now. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean all of a sudden they're going to be good? Well, it could. It could. The Cowboys, and, I'm going to read actually this excerpt from Bleacher Report. The Cowboys fell short of the postseason last year, which cost head coach Jason Garrett his job. But if Mike McCarthy can get this team to realize its potential, which is oddly and ironically what every single year it's what's said every year about this team. If they can realize the potential with all that talent, we see that every year. And we keep putting them up there, anointing them as some kind of super powerhouse team when they don't even have an appearance in their conference title game to speak of since Walkmans were popular. Walkmans. I ain't cared about these Cowboys winning since I had a Walkman. So why do they keep getting these high rankings? Who cares? Be real with where they should be as a franchise. And it's not number 5. But if Mike McCarthy can get this team to realize its potential, the Cowboys could be as dangerous as any squad. The offense led the league in total yards, blah, 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 blah. Every single year. This is what they do. Tony Romo led the league every year. Touchdowns, throwing yards. They led the league every year. Running back. Got the best O-line. Yeah, they got the best offensive line in the NFL. But they ain't done nothing with it. They ain't done nothing with it for decades. This franchise ain't done nothing with all this talent they have and have had for decades. So as I read through this entire little excerpt, all I'm hearing is the exact same thing we hear every single year. So why do we continue to care about it? I don't. It's annoying to even read it because it's just different names with the same sentiments. Best offensive line, best quarterback, best running back, best cornerbacks, best defensive ends, best linebackers, but they still go 8-8 by the end of the season. So why do I care? I'm done with it. Let's go to number 4, the 49ers. 49ers, they were in the Super Bowl last year, so I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. We know what their issues are. The 49ers also have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They just need a quarterback that they can have who can make the plays, without necessarily having to run the ball 40 times a game, just to give just so that they don't have to rely on him being too much more than a game manager. Jimmy G, Garoppolo is a competent quarterback. I really do believe he's a competent quarterback with potential, but really, that guy's got to be able to make plays and make throws that can carry the team down the field. He has to be their number one option. Their running game really is their number one option right now, but he has to be that number one option. I think the Niners being able to hold that squad together like they did, having a young squad, I think they're going to be competing again for it. I think you're going to have to go through them in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl, but things can change, but that's where I see it at right now. At number 3, we got the Saints. This is another team that, in my opinion, overrated in terms of how they keep getting ranked at the top of the power rankings each year, because I think the last couple of years we've actually been witnessing the inability of the Saints to be able to really beat any team in the clutchest of moments in the playoffs. They kind of crumble. And that's hard for me to say that because I'm a fan of Drew Brees. I am a fan of Drew Brees, but regardless of anything that's said about his, statements he makes about politics, which whatever, I believe in that cat. And I like him, but I'm also seeing the writing on the wall. His arm is not strong enough. He doesn't have a strong enough arm to be the same quarterback he was when they won the Super Bowl. He doesn't have a strong enough arm to throw a receiver open in the same way that he could 3 or 4 years ago. He's never had a cannon, but he doesn't have an arm. You can keep everything that Drew Brees throws in front of you if you're on defense. You can keep everything he throws in front of you. Now, we know what kind of monsters that he has at receiver. We know he has a great versatile running back with Kamara, who they're trying to get his deal. They're trying to get his deal sealed up as we speak. But he's also, the team also has, a good offensive line, and they've got a solid defense. I mean, they've had a solid defense. I don't think they've ever really had a bad defense. They got, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan, Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore. They've got guys who play games, who play solid games. So they're going to be in the picture, but I don't see them. I just don't see the Saints beating anybody who pushes them in the playoffs. I don't see them beating anybody who pushes them to the brink. I just don't see that happening. Baltimore Ravens at number 2. I think we all know who the last 2 teams are going to be on this power ranking. It's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be Kansas City. Baltimore did add to their arsenal. They got Calais Campbell from from Jacksonville, and we're going to see what happens in this third season for Lamar Jackson coming off that MVP. We're going to see if he can get this team back to the level of play that they had last year. That's going to be a hard thing to do. I expect them to be in the playoffs. I expect them to be contending to get into the Super Bowl. Not sure that they're going to be one of those teams you want to plug in for the AFC title game right now, because we saw what happened to them last year. Those guys did so well in the regular season, they thought that they were still in it when they got into the playoffs. And we all know what happened to them when it came to that. So Baltimore is going to be there. We know they're going to be a team that's going to be near the top of it, but it's going to boil down to a lot of things with them mentally to really predict whether or not they're going to get over that hump that is starting to grow for them to get into the Super Bowl. Number 1, KC, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, what are we going to say about them? They got a solid defense. Defense that can make plays. They give up yards, but they can make plays. And the offense is just, they've got, in my eyes, the best, most versatile offense in the NFL. Obviously, that man right there, P-Mac, Patrick Mahomes. This guy has a $500 million contract, billion with a B, and he's a leader. He is another guy who is really truly a leader for his franchise, and everybody in that locker room believes in him. They have a good offensive line, coached by my former offensive line coach, Andy Heck. And, this is a team that's sitting at the top of the mountain. This is a team that has a ton of momentum. Tyreek Hill, probably the fastest man in the NFL. Their receiving core is sick. They've got the Honey Badger on the other side of the ball, helping lead the defense. They've got defensive ends that are sick. It is going to be hard pressed. You are going to likely, and I'm talking about 90% likelihood, unless there is unforeseen injuries and just unfortunate circumstances that derail this team this year. I'm expecting them to be the team that other teams are going to do. You're going to have to go through them in order to get into the Super Bowl. They hold the keys. They will be the gatekeeper, and you have to beat them to go through that gate and get to the Super Bowl this year. That's just really what it's going to boil down to. I don't think that you're going to have any other team that's going to have such, that's going to pose such a huge threat on the offensive side and on the defensive side like you will with Kansas City. So they definitely deserve to be there at number 1. But yeah, that is the power rankings that are presented by Bleacher Report. But, let me know what you guys think about that. And yes, Mark Brennan, I agree with you 100%. And I hate it because when I was in Jacksonville, we used to laugh at Cleveland and be like, yeah, it don't matter. We as long as we win more games than Cleveland, we're going to be all right. And the Jags are the new Cleveland Browns. It's a damn tragic, infuriating situation to know that, your franchise, the team that you were drafted by, a team that you have love for, is just, the laughing stock of the league. Nobody even wants to play there in Jacksonville. Nobody even wants to play for them. Nobody even wants to play for them. And that is that's a hard thing to overcome when your team kind of loses that favor amongst the players in the NFL. It can be that can be the beginning of something really bad for them. But let's hope that after this season, when Doug Marrone and David Caldwell are sent packing, that they can get in they need to go for a high value, high price head coach who's been there, who's got rings. They need that. The Jags have historically just been bad at picking people to take over once. I thought Jack Del Rio was a great head coach. And I also thought that once they fired him, that Mel Tucker would have been a good head coach if they just decided to stick with him. But they decided to bring in a guy by the name of Mike Mularkey, and he was the worst head coach I've ever had to play under in my entire life. So let's move on here. We're going to go on from that. I want to talk a little bit about Madden 21. And I know a lot of people here, maybe you do, if you like football, then I'm sure that you probably know what's going on with Madden 21. This game got to 0.3. A 0.3 rating. I mean, let me pull up this Metacritic. Let's take a look at this, guys. I'm a gamer. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a gamer. Like, straight up, I game. Right now, on my PlayStation 4 behind me, I got the Avengers game. I just started it. I paused it, to get ready for the stream about an hour before I started. And my God, Madden is regard damn ridiculous. And, this is the sad part about it. I mean, this is the sad part about this game to me. You have to have made a pretty bad football game for me to not even have a desire to even play it. You guys have seen my stream on Fridays. On Fridays, I stream Madden 21, usually Madden 21. Sometimes I may do a different game, depending on how I'm feeling. But usually on Friday night, I do Madden 21, and I'll play Mutt, or I'll play a little bit of the yard. And I mean, dude, since last Friday, I haven't even touched the game. Haven't even touched it. I've not even had a desire to even like deal with the game in any way, shape, or form when it comes to, hitting the start button on it, starting it up on my PC, and even looking at my squad or seeing what new cards they got in Mutt. I don't even care. I don't even care. But I do know one thing, that when you have a 0.3 rating, when you have the lowest rated video game in the history of Metacritic, and you've only been out less than a week, somebody's going to have to take a look at that. And I think the NFL would be doing a huge disservice to their brand in general if they don't take a look at what's going on at EA Sports. I heard that EA Sports presented them with some kind of like roadmap to what they wanted to do with Madden to convince the NFL to stick with them, because the NFL was not going to renew that license for them. And I would imagine if the NFL had any kind of reservations about what EA Sports was doing with the NFL Shield, with the brand they protect above everything else, I would imagine that there would be some caveats that were set into the contract that gave the NFL an out to get out of it if things went south quickly. Well, I'm sure they weren't expecting it to go south within 6 months of signing that contract and giving them another 5 years. It is atrocious, this game right now. And look, let me bring it down just a notch. Just a notch, because I do know a couple of guys at EA. Clint Oldenburg, he's a good dude. I mean, I have no issues with that guy whatsoever. I think he's a good guy. Me and him have had good conversations, and me and him have discussed a number of things in regard to Madden. A number of things. But I didn't think that this game was coming out like this. I don't even know if he did. I mean, I would assume that he was aware of what the game was at that moment, but geez, dude, have you seen some of the glitches? Have you seen some of the like just unexplainable things that were leftovers from Madden 20? Some of the unexplainable, just bland, soulless gameplay. This game is soulless, and I hate it. I hate that it's soulless, because I mean, it's the only game we got. It's the only football game we got. What are we supposed to do? Oh, they know that. EA Sports. They know it's the only football game. What are you going to do? You're either going to buy it or you're not. You're not going to play it or you're going to play it, because you don't got another choice. Say what you will about, Maxim football or Axis football, whatever it may be. And in respect to those guys, I know that that's a small team of developers who are trying to create something that's going to grow over time. That's going to, be more and more polished as the years go by. But I'm talking about right now. I don't want to play Madden no more. I don't want to play it. I don't want to play Madden 21. I don't want to play it. I need something else. I mean, I started playing NBA 2K20 because I just, I'd rather play that. And I don't even play basketball. I love basketball. Don't get me wrong. I love basketball, but I don't play it. I don't know the nuances as well as other people who play it, who play the sport and love the game. Aiden Brennan, this just made me chuckle a little bit. EA Sports, it's in the loot box. And that's what this shit has become. Me and, I know a lot of people probably know this cat. He's gotten some nice pub here in the last week from his years of dedication in analyzing and critiquing Madden as a game. Ryan Moody 21. That's a buddy of mine, and we actually. I think there's a helicopter flying. Oh no, that's actually the lawnmower. Boy, these guys, I thought they come in on Fridays. They're here on Wednesday. All right, cool. I got my guys cutting the lawn outside, just so you guys know that's what that noise is. But Ryan Moody, guy that I'm good friends with, we're good buddies here now, and me and him had a conversation, and one of the things that really is, I would say this is the biggest part of what I look for when I buy a video game. The biggest thing that matters to me is that I'm getting a product that isn't insulting my intelligence. And one thing that's kind of happened in the video game market, in the video game industry in the last 5 to 10 years, one thing that bothers me about the video game industry right now is monetization. Monetization has all but ruined a game like Madden because there are things that you can do because of monetization that logically don't play out if you just playing the game straight up. And this is a perfect example of this. Me and Ryan talked about this for about an hour on the phone because I tried to apply a little bit of math in my head about it and just kind of see, you know, where is it that, why is it that a franchise will leave barren things like, or I'm sorry, why is it that a company will leave things like franchise completely untouched? Give us a cut and paste. We all know what it's like. Cut and paste on franchise mode, cut and paste on Super Bowl celebrations. You know, these things are, this is the apathy that they had, that it feels like they have right now at EA. But you look at what they did with the Yard. The Yard is this new mode. Everybody knows, I'm pretty sure at this point, where it's kind of a NFL blitz, but without the over the top violence and late hits and all that. Which honestly, if a team, the first team, and I'm winking at you, 2K. The first team that brings us back the NFL blitz style, or the first development company that brings us back the NFL blitz style of football games, is going to sell 1 million copies in a heartbeat. Because if it has the NFL license on it and it is a football game that plays in any way, like NFL blitz, but and really, if it plays, like, if you throw a football and it has an NFL logo on it and it's not Madden, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. When 2K gets their non-simulation game ready for the masses, even if it's, I mean, it couldn't, can it be worse than Madden? How, I mean, can it get lower than a 0.3? I don't think so. I'm going to go buy it. Because this is just ridiculous. Now, with the Yard, Madden has the Moss package that just dropped. It's a limited time 4-day clothing special, I guess. And that's another thing that just makes no sense to me. You're selling clothing to players. Now, you do have the option of gaining credits as well, so that you can get that option, or you can get that clothing without actually paying money to get it. But let me offer you this scenario, and you people can tell me what you would do. Madden 21's Moss package is on sale for a limited time for 4 days. The cost of that package, so it's an outfit. You know what? Let's pull it up. Let me pull up what the Moss package looks like. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Where is this Moss package? Where is it? Let me just get a still. I don't need the video. Well, you know what? I'll take the video. Give me a video. Let's take a look at this thing here. Take a look at this thing. I want to see it. Bump, 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 bump. Buying new clothes. My God. All right, give me something that's just show me the damn thing. Be easier. Okay. No, that's Madden 17. What the hell? Okay. All right. I don't see the moss. I don't see the actual gear. It's where is this? Where is it? I thought I just saw a picture of it just a little while ago. Anyways, let's not get hung up on the actual the Moss package. So the Moss package is there for $4, and it's nothing special, guys. It is literally a jersey and pants that says Moss under the neck, the brim, and it doesn't give you any kind of special boost. You don't get any kind of powers from this. You don't get any kind of like, you don't even, it's not, I bet it's not even transferable into Madden 22. The yard. So what exactly and why exactly can you justify 137,000 coins in order to have the Moss package? Now, you can either grind out 137,000 coins by playing over and over and over, and it would probably take you 24 straight hours, maybe 24 straight hours. Might take you 48 straight hours of playing this game. Maybe. And nobody's playing that long in a row. I'm sorry. If you are, good luck. 137,000 points. Or you can just pay us $17.99 in real cash, and you can have it. What is that? That's a scheme. That's a scheme to get people's money. There are people who have spent thousands of dollars in playing this game. I won't even front. Madden 2019, I probably spent close to $1,500 because it was a new thing to me. That was the first year I actually played MUT. That was the first year I played MUT. And I mean, truth be told, I was hyped up. I mean, I'll spend, $70, but then I spent $70 like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 11 times. And people, I looked back at it and I was like, wow, I'm not doing that anymore. You get those chemicals that release in your brain when you see all this stuff splash across the screen, and you get this high rated player with all these different bells and whistles. It's like a slot machine. It's gambling. They're going to convince you through your inability and the unlikelihood that you could do anything within the game itself to gain 137,000 coins that you can buy that thing with, because they know when you have the choice, you're going to spend your money on it. And that's especially dangerous to kids, because a lot of times it ain't their money. It's their parents' money. And then on top of that, you have their money getting spent by a kid who doesn't understand that he's really being gypped off, because in 2 weeks, they're going to release a new package that's going to be way better than that one that you have right now, and you're going to spend more money to upgrade it. It's the same thing that happens in MUT. You buy up all of the top-rated players right now, well, guess what? In 30 days, they're going to have players that are rated 95 instead of 90. and you're going to have to spend the same amount of money again to have them. So with knowing all of that, how in the world can you look at this game and feel like it's worth it based on that and all of the problems that they're having with this game, all the problems that people are having with this game? How can you think it's worth it in any way, shape, or form to really put your hard-earned money down on the table and say, here, you can have it, let me get the game? The NFL has to take a look at this. The NFL needs to take a look at this. And if there is any kind of caveat in that contract that will allow them to basically find a way of nullifying that contract before the 5 years due to, there's got to be something about ratings in that contract. There's got to be something about ratings. There's something about ratings in players' contracts. If you get a certain type of media accolades, then you get a bonus for that. So this would be considered the outside of the actual units sold, this would be considered the number one accolade for any kind of justification about how the game is made. It would be the rating. And look at this, 0.3. I'm just going to read one review. An atrocious football simulation game. EA has greatly expanded the number of game modes in Madden over the past couple of years at the detriment to the depth and immersion of all modes in the game. This game added no features to its already anemic franchise mode, and it features many bugs upon release, such as rainbow-colored coaches, players wearing the wrong college jerseys in face of the franchise, and blank fields that have no sidelines or hash marks, just to name a very select few. The yard serves only as an excuse to monetize the game further. Face of the franchise has a pathetically cringy story. Even Ultimate Team has atrociously laggy menus that make it completely unbearable to endure. Many gameplay and AI flaws from the previous titles have continued into this one as well. You can only get so much fun from such broken gameplay. Please do not give EA $60 or more for this piss poor effort. 71 of 71 users found this helpful. So I think there is a ton to be said about how embarrassingly bad this game is being received, and it has to show in the sales. We would all assume that it will show in the sales, and the NFL will be, I would assume, also would be very concerned about that. Madden's going to also come out on the PS5 and the PS4. The PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And you think there's enough time for them to actually fix gameplay, to improve gameplay? No, doubt it. So that game's going to be pretty much pooey on the next gen systems for its first year, much like Madden 25 was pooey on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 when it came out. So not going to be terribly surprised when that actually does come to fruition. And again, I'd love to help them. Because especially when it comes to player logic, I think I could be a real asset to EA. But what does a 100-game starter in the NFL know about football? Nothing. But let's move on here, and this will likely be the final topic here to end this thing. Again, I appreciate everybody on the stream. I see you guys in the chat. I really do appreciate y'all for coming out here and showing love. Just make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you share with your friends, and make sure, if you haven't done so already, you're subscribed to the Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri. Now, let's take one quick look here. This is something that I wanted to talk about because I am a diehard Mavericks fan. Some of you probably have seen on my wall, I have a game jersey from the Dallas Mavericks, from Dirk Nowitzki, a guy who I was actually friends with during my time as a player. Been to his house a few times. He gave me tickets to the games. I came to the finals. He gave me tickets to the finals. Did my thing. We're boys. But I really did want to talk about this because I think there's a couple things that need to be pointed out. And I'm not going to mince my words about it because, that's just not the kind of cat I am. If y'all are going to know one thing about me here, y'all are going to know that I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be honest about how I feel. I'm not going to hold nothing back. And that's just the way it is. Before we even go into that, the Greg says, what's with that couch? Well, it's there for me to sit on. And I sit on it and play my PS4 sometimes. So that's what that couch is there for. Raiders 7528 Monday during EA's title giveaway promotion, they had NFL teams giving away free copies of Madden. Madden being given away for free the way it is now is just another complete indicator of how completely underwhelming and how completely disappointed people are with this game. And final word on that, EA's not giving the game away for free because it's free. They're giving the game away for free because they just need you to spend a little bit of money on microtransactions to keep their revenue looking good for when the NFL comes asking, why does this game suck so bad? And tell us why we should let y'all keep this exclusive license because we're still making the same amount of money. So NFL. And it's just not. It's not a genuine offer to give people the game free. They're trying to meet quotas by giving you that game for free. It means more that you spend on microtransactions than you do on the actual game. $60, they don't care. Hell, they just want you to get the game in your hands and go spend $20, $25 on the actual microtransactions because you think that this game got this. I mean, if you're looking at the game, it looks like nothing has been done. It looks like they didn't spend any resources on improving it. So really, that game can be released in a perfect world. Madden 21 would be a $24.99 game. It'd be a $24.99 game because that's what you're getting from the yard. And that's what the yard is. That's what the yard being accounted for as the actual new part of the game. They don't have anything else that's new. Okay. We got a super chat here. The Greg, $5. Appreciate that, the Greg, for the next insult. Uche, you ever take all of the Pats roster and put them on the Jags in Madden? No, you do. No, I've never put the Patriots roster on the Jags in Madden. Never would. I just edit the players' stats so that they're all 99s, and my team just goes out and dominates everybody. So that's how I win. Thanks. But let's get back to this here. This is Luka Doncic. We all, many of us have heard about the situation between him and Marcus Morris Sr. And if you haven't, then, we will take a look at it here. So this guy right here, number 31. Oh, I didn't want to play the sound there, but whatever. There's no way to mute that sound. All right, whatever. We're just gonna leave that there. So that was one. Okay, you can argue in that situation that it was a hard foul. It's the playoffs. It's hard for me to accept that, but okay, I will give the benefit of the doubt on the first foul. Now this. Look at this. Look where he's looking. He knows where he's stepping. No reaction to standing on this guy's foot on a hurt ankle and wants to act like he didn't know that was the hurt ankle. Look at his face on this. Just look at him. Look at him. This is the face of somebody who is trying to hurt another player. Marcus Morris is a piece of shit. He's a dirty piece of shit. I hope the Clippers get their asses routed in this next series because of him. I think that's all that needs to be said. Luka said here, I really hoped the first game wasn't on purpose. I don't want to deal with that kind of player. Now, I've had people who've asked me if I think it's a racial thing. And honestly, I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know. I don't. Dirty players are just dirty players. It may come into it as far as, how he verbalized it, like he did when he said the garbage that he said before that. But I think it's just that this dude is a dirty player. I think he is a POS because of it. I've played against guys who were considered dirty players. And, it doesn't matter what the skin color is. They're just dirty. And they're dirty because they want to intimidate people. And they're not even, and the funny thing is they usually end up not even being a very good player. They just have a reputation because they're dirty pieces of shit. So this guy, Marcus Morris, I'm going to do a favor here for everybody in this, and I'm going to look up his stats as a player, and we're going to compare them to Luka Doncic because I think he had a personal mission to go after Doncic because Doncic was somebody that he couldn't cover. Doncic was somebody who was a better player than him in every aspect of his game, and he decided he was going to use his brute force to overwhelm him with intimidation and aggressiveness to try and put a chink in his game. And and to me, that is a lot. That has a lot to do with the misconception that players who come from Europe are soft. Luka Doncic is 20 years old, and he has been playing against grown men since he was 16, 17. He is not soft. People tried to say the same thing about his predecessor, Dirk Nowitzki, that he was a soft player because he didn't scream when he dunked. He didn't flex on people. And, early in his career, he wasn't quite ready to be the player that could take over a game. So people called him soft. And he still won an NBA championship against the Miami Heat that had the trio of perennial all-stars, along with who was at the time the best player in the NBA in LeBron James. Dirk went out there and beat him. I was there sitting right behind LeBron James, second row, and I was talking cash shit because they underestimate these players that come out of Europe. Where did the Euro step come from? European players. These guys have helped innovate and push forward the game of basketball because they have skill sets that weren't in the game before they got into it. You can go down the list. Tony Parker. You can go down the list. Manu Ginobili. All of these guys. Luka Doncic. Dirk Nowitzki. There's countless numbers of them who bring an element to basketball that you didn't see before they were there. And sometimes, even in the playoffs, when things are heated, and let me find this freaking dude's, let me get his stats. Let me pull Marcus Morris's stats up. Fucking bum. Where is he? Oh. You bum. Marcus Morris, senior. Not even, come on, get the hell out of here. You were born in 1989, you bum. You barely touching 30. 11 points per, oh, this is just versus Denver. Give me the season. Give me the whole season. Where is it at? Let's see here. Stats. Not the postseason. Just give me the regular season. Let's take a look here. Oh, he was even worse in the regular season. What a bum. Jeez, stop it. Dang it. Fucking ESPN, your ads. Let's take a look here. I mean, I don't know. It keeps going to this damn Clippers things, but I want to see his position rank. He's middle of the fucking pack. 16. And he's actually gone down half a percentage point since then. But let's I mean, let me see the whole year, guys. Give me the whole year. I'm just gonna do it like this because I think this is this will actually work. Regular season. All right, let me see. Stats, Marcus Morris. Regular season, he averaged 16 points a game, which is 57th. 5 rebounds, 1 assist. And what is this? What is this? PER, player efficiency rating. It was 14.4, which is 131st in the NBA. Which, I mean, I would assume, with each team really having like 7 or 8 who are going to be on the court every night, that puts him near the bottom. Puts him near the bottom. Now let's go take a look. This guy averaged 16.7 during the regular season. He averaged 11 during the playoffs. Let's take a look here at Luka Doncic. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. For the season. Oh my God. Why is that even like automatically playing sound? Anyways, Luka Doncic, 21 years old. This guy is averaging, and this was in the playoffs. I got to go back again and look at the regular season. Okay, no, this is regular season right here. Regular season stats. Luka Doncic averaged 28.8 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, 8.8 assists a game. His player efficiency rating, 27.6, third in the NBA. He's the 3rd most efficient player in basketball. He's the 6th highest scorer. He's the 17th best rebounder, and he's the 3rd best assist man in the NBA. And you're telling me that this bum, Marcus Morris Sr., thinks for 1 second that he can intimidate somebody who is that much better than him. A guy who didn't even look at you on his game plan sheet, I'm willing to bet. I hope the Clippers get their asses crushed because he went after Luka out of jealousy, out of envy that he isn't going to ever be the player that Luka Doncic already is. He won't come within 10 spots. He won't come within 50 spots of Luka Doncic as the player he is right now. Fucking bum. And any players out there in any sport, you go out there and you try to hurt guys. You go out there and you try to intimidate guys outside of the scope of what you're allowed to do in the game. You're a piece of shit too. I have never done anything dirty to a player in my entire career. Never. Because his health is more important than what we're doing on this play when it comes down to it, in doing things in an intentional manner. And for this dude to go out there and come after this guy like this and do the things he did, I mean, the NBA fined him $35,000. What the hell is that? Suspend his ass for the first 5 games of next season. He wants to go back there and act like, oh, man, it was all love. It was all love. You know, it's all good. But then he comes back the next game and tries to step this dude and tries to break this dude's ankle. Anyways, just had to get that out. Just had to get that out. Because I'm a diehard Mavericks fan. I've been a Mavericks fan since I was 9 years old. And, aside from the fact that we lost that series, which I didn't think we'd win it, but I'm glad we competed the way we did because people now know. And they're lucky we didn't have Porzingis out there because it might have been a different story. But people now know that this Mavericks team is back. We're back. We took a couple of years off to get our shit back in order, but we back now. And, now people have been put on notice. Next season, it's gonna be hell to catch when you come into American Airlines Center. So with all that being said, we're going to bring this thing to an end. A couple things that I didn't really get to today on the podcast, but so I may drop a video on those things instead. But really do appreciate you guys for being in here on the podcast. And once again, you can catch us on Spotify. You can catch it on anchor.fm. You catch it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts as well. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right around then, we started, but it's scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern. Lineman Life Podcast. I am your observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri. I appreciate you guys for being here, and I will catch you all next week on Lineman Life. You guys have a good one. Be safe. Love y'all. I'm out. Peace.